On a hot afternoon in August 1987, FBI Special Agent Alex Warren walked out of the San Antonio Federal Building to meet a confidential source. He told the duty officer he would be back in 10 minutes. He never returned. Traffic cameras showed his beige sedan entering Interstate 37. After that, no calls, credit card records, or radio messages appeared. The Bureau sent helicopters, dive teams, and every off-duty agent it could spare. They searched rivers, motels, hospital intakes, even desert wells. Weeks dragged into months. Leads dried up. Speculation ranged from cartel abduction to rogue agent escape, but no proof surfaced. Warren's family held a memorial without a body, and news crews moved on. Internally, the case file was stamped unresolved. Agent presumed deceased. His photo stayed on every bulletin board, a daily reminder that even trained investigators can disappear without warning. 4 years later, 15th March 1991, fluorescent lights hummed over the Austin field office. Junior Agent Maya Delgado was sorting old kidnapping files when her desk phone rang. "Delgado, this is Deputy Kingsley, Travis County. We picked up a trespasser at an abandoned locker off Farm Road 218. Inside, he found a chair with restraints, dried blood, surgical tools, and an FBI badge. Number? Alex Warren." Maya's pulse spiked. Warren had mentored her before he vanished. "Seal the unit. Touch nothing. I'm en route," she said, already pulling on her jacket. Outside, light rain glazed the pavement. She steered her Crown Victoria onto I-35, siren dark to avoid attention. The locker site sat behind a scrapyard and a sagging chain-link fence. As mile markers slipped past, one thought pushed through the doubt. If the badge was real, Warren had bled somewhere close, and whoever kept that secret was still out there. Deputy Kingsley waved Maya past the rusted gate of Oak Grove Storage. Unit 12's metal door sat half open behind crime scene tape. Inside, every wall was lined with kitchen foil, turning flashlight beams into scattered glare. In the center stood a steel chair bolted to the floor. Leather cuffs hung from the armrests. Dark stains marked the seat and concrete. On a folding table lay an FBI badge, a cracked wristwatch, and a bureau windbreaker. Maya zoomed her camera, then flipped the badge. Serial AW9913, Alex Warren. No dust touched the metal. Someone had placed it recently. "Who found this place?" she asked. "Earl Sanderson," Kingsley said. "Homeless, mid-50s. Broke the lock looking for scrap." Maya slid the badge into an evidence bag, radioed for the mobile lab, extra lights, and a print kit. The room smelled of bleach and old blood. After 4 years of silence, Warren's trail was open again, and whoever set this up might still be nearby. An hour later, Maya sat across from Earl in a county interview room. Rainwater dripped from his coat, but his story stayed firm. At dawn, he pried the padlock, saw the foil walls, the chair, and the shining badge, then ran straight to town. He also recalled 2 white panel vans visiting the site after midnight on several nights, unloading covered crates. One Texas plate fragment stuck in his head, TXR 702. Maya noted it, then showed him Alex Warren's photo. "Never met the man," Earl said, "but that same picture was taped on the back wall." A deputy stepped in. "Agent Delgado, latent prints on the badge clip came back. They match Clark Henley, local real estate broker." Maya's chest tightened. Henley owned several low-rent storage yards on the city's edge, including Oak Grove. She thanked the deputy, copied the report, and started mapping every property Henley controlled. Somewhere on that list was the place where Agent Alex Warren had last been seen alive. By early evening, Maya had flagged 8 properties tied to Clark Henley: 4 storage yards, 2 vacant warehouses, a shuttered truck stop, and an old ranch outside city limits. She ran the panel van plate through DMV. Registration traced back to Mesa Sun Charities, a shell nonprofit where Henley served as treasurer. A patrol unit confirmed one of the vans parked at Riverbend Storage, a yard closed for repairs. Maya drove there with Deputy Kingsley. The gate chain was new, the padlock shiny. From the street, she saw motion sensor lights over Unit 31 and fresh tire tracks in dusty gravel. No backup camera feed existed. The power meter had been bypassed, pulling electricity straight from the pole. Kingsley unscrewed the lock hasp using a cordless driver, preserving it for prints. Inside Unit 31 were 2 folding beds, empty IV bags, duct tape, and a handwritten log dated yesterday. RB03 in, RB03 out. Prepare for transfer. No names, just codes. Photographs taken, evidence tagged. The beds were still warm. Someone had left less than an hour earlier. Maya headed to Henley's downtown office before it closed. The real estate firm occupied a quiet second-floor suite above a payday loan shop. Reception lights were off, but Henley stood at a copier stacking folders into a briefcase. He froze when Maya showed her badge. "Agent Delgado, I already spoke to police." She nodded. "This is federal now. We found your fingerprints on Special Agent Warren's badge." Henley's face drained of color. Maya noticed a key fob on his desk labeled RB03, matching the log code. "Where does this go?" she asked. Henley said nothing. Maya slid a consent to search form across the counter. "Sign, and maybe the U.S. attorney considers cooperation. Refuse, and I lock this place down. Call a grand jury, and you spend tonight in a holding cell." Henley's hand shook as he signed. He surrendered the key fob and a slim ledger marked donor receipts. Mesa Sun Charities. Inside were cash entries linked to unit numbers and dates, payments that lined up with every known disappearance in the region. Back at the field office, Henley sat under bright interview lights, lawyer present, but the evidence pushed him toward a deal. He confessed that Mesa Sun was a front for a trafficking pipeline run by a man he called Director Orion. Henley's job: rent quiet properties, install foil rooms, move captives for conditioning. A new transfer was set for 10 p.m. at Clearview Ranch, the old cattle spread outside Caldwell County. 10 victims, 6 minors, were due to be loaded into livestock trailers and driven south before sunrise. Henley drew a rough map. Service road off Highway 21, main barn wired with cameras, 2 armed guards, 1 nurse. Maya signed a quick-use cooperation order. Henley would ride along, cuffed, to point out buildings. The Bureau mobilized a joint task force: FBI SWAT, county deputies, and medical teams. Maya briefed them in the motor pool at 20:30, stressing silent entry to protect the hostages. By 21:15, the convoy rolled out. Red lights dimmed. Radios on encrypted channel. Moonlight cut across empty pasture as agents crept toward Clearview Ranch. Thermal scopes showed 2 men's heat signatures near the barn door, rifles slung. At Maya's hand signal, SWAT breached with a flashbang. Both guards dropped their weapons without firing. Inside, plywood rooms lined the barn walls. IV poles, space heaters, and rows of marked duffel bags filled the center aisle. 10 frightened captives, 5 women, 5 children, sat on cots, wrists taped. A medic in scrubs raised her hands, whispering, "I'm forced to work here." Deputies escorted her outside for questioning. Maya freed the hostages, then swept an office trailer at the rear. On a metal desk lay a satellite phone, numbered tags, and a ledger titled South Run Schedules. The entries matched dates in Henley's book and listed a final payout from Orion set for tomorrow. Forensics boxed everything. As EMS loaded the survivors, Maya radioed headquarters. "Site secure, victims safe, evidence collected. Next objective, identify and locate Orion before sunrise." Digital forensics traced the satellite phone's last signal to a deserted airstrip 12 miles east of Lockhart. The ledger showed a 0330 pickup there. Orion was expected with 2 box trucks, pay cash, load victims, then leave in a Cessna stored on site. At 0240, Agents hid along the cracked runway. SWAT waited inside the hangar. Henley, cuffed in an SUV, confirmed the layout. Headlights pierced the dark at 0307. 2 trucks and a gray pickup rolled through a gap in the fence. 3 armed men stepped out first. A taller man in a black coat followed. Henley whispered, "That's Orion." The trucks backed to the hangar. Drivers started a tow tractor. Maya radioed go. Flashbangs shattered the quiet. SWAT rushed the guards, rifles down in seconds. Orion dashed to his pickup, engine idling, but skidded as Maya stepped into the beam of his headlights, sidearm raised. "FBI, stop!" He spun, sprinted toward the mesquite at the runway's edge, and vanished into shadows with surprising speed. Maya sprinted after Orion. He slipped in a drainage ditch. She pinned him, cuffed his wrists, and read his rights while SWAT secured the zone. A search found 2 passports, $40,000 in cash, and a phone full of coded texts, times, head counts, payments. At the staging area, Henley named him Victor Ames, a former private security guard fired in 1985 for excessive force. Questioning began at dawn in a command van. Ames stayed silent until he saw Alex Warren's badge on the evidence table. He froze, then said, "I know that agent." He admitted he oversaw Warren's early captivity, using forced drugging to extract FBI intel. Why keep Warren alive? "Leverage," Ames said. "If the Bureau pushed too hard, we'd trade him." With Ames, Henley, and the ranch evidence booked, Maya drafted her field report. 18 survivors rescued, 6 bodies recovered, pipeline ledger seized, core leaders in custody. She signed the last line. "Recommend. Case Alex Warren. Status changed to located, injured, alive." Sunlight filtered through the command van blinds as Victor Ames faced a full federal charge sheet. Kidnapping, trafficking, torture, murder. He took a plea, complete confession in exchange for removing the death penalty. Over 6 hours, he detailed routes, safe houses, payoffs. The Crossroads pipeline began in Reynosa, crossed remote ranch roads, funneled victims through Henley's foil units for braking, then shipped them north by truck or small plane. Ames named doctors who kept captives alive, drivers who swapped license plates, city officials who ignored inspections for cash. Maya typed every word, cross-checking with ledger entries and time-stamped texts. Each match bolstered the case. At 14:30, FBI legal signed off on arrest warrants for 9 new suspects. Teams rolled out within minutes. By evening, 4 corrupt border agents, 2 clinic owners, and a for-hire pilot were in cuffs, each caught off guard by simultaneous raids orchestrated from the airstrip hub. Maya visited Alex Warren at St. David's Hospital that night. He rested in a quiet recovery ward, IV lines feeding antibiotics and fluids. Though gaunt, he sat upright when she entered. "You cracked it," he said, voice rough but steady. She gave a brief rundown. Victims safe, network leaders arrested, more warrants active. Warren nodded, processing. "Thank you," he whispered. Maya placed Henley's signed confession on his tray. "Your badge put all of this in motion." A drifter saw it, told a deputy, and the chain started. Warren stared at the document, eyes misting. "For years I thought hope was foolish." Maya shook her head. "It wasn't. Your name never left the bulletin board." She handed him a sealed envelope, the system update changing his status from missing to recovered. "When you're ready, the Bureau wants your statement, but today just rest," she said. Warren managed a faint smile. "I will, and when I'm stronger, I'm finishing what we started." 2 days later, Maya briefed the Southwest Command Center in San Antonio. Analysts had scraped Victor Ames's phone and found 5 coded payments still pending. The last one, marked TXSE83, hit a freight forwarding firm near the port of Houston. The manifest showed an empty tool shed container scheduled to sail for Haiti in 48 hours. Maya and Customs formed a joint task unit. Body heat scanners revealed 6 warm signatures inside the sealed crate. At dawn, agents cut the padlock under warehouse lights. Inside, 3 teenage boys and 3 women blinked at the sudden glare, wrists zip-tied, ankles chained to steel rings. They spoke little English but clutched each other, realizing rescue had come. No guards were on site. The firm's night manager had taken a cash envelope hours earlier and vanished. Field medics checked vitals while Maya searched the crate. Behind a false wall, she found passports, medical files, and a pocket ledger labeled Director Fund Southeast 83. Each line matched an abduction date within Texas over the past year. Back at headquarters, the port rescue data tied the entire Crossroads hierarchy together. The Southeast 83 ledger listed offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, all under shell firms linked to Orion's real name, Victor Ames, and 2 silent partners, an Austin-based venture capitalist and a retired Border Patrol chief. Federal judges issued emergency seizure warrants. Treasury froze 11 accounts worth $38 million. Maya watched real-time notifications roll in as finance teams locked each asset. By midnight, the silent partners were arrested at separate addresses, both stunned by the speed of the takedown. Survivors from the port testified via translators, confirming Ames's role in selecting saleable people. Combined with Henry's and Ames's signed statements, prosecutors now had a complete timeline: abduction, conditioning, transport, sale. With funds frozen and leadership in custody, the Crossroads network had no trucks, no planes, and no cash flow left. Maya updated the case log. Operational capability neutralized. The Austin venture capitalist Grant Collier sat across from Assistant U.S. Attorney Linda Yates in a downtown conference room converted to a war room. Screens displayed frozen bank accounts and seized property lists. Collier's lawyer whispered about sentencing guidelines, but the numbers were grim: trafficking, money laundering, conspiracy, each count backed by ledgers and wire transfer receipts. Collier finally spoke. "I never touched anyone. I just moved money." Yates slid a photo of the 6 hostages from the Houston crate across the table. "You funded that container." Collier swallowed hard. He agreed to plead guilty and hand over encryption keys to 3 more crypto wallets. Forensic accountants found an extra $4.2 million, enough to finance another year of operations. Collier's cooperation unlocked names of 2 cargo brokers in Miami and a pilot service in Belize. Maya dispatched leads to those districts, widening the dragnet. By nightfall, federal alerts flagged every outbound container linked to Crossroads aliases. Ports from Galveston to Key West added extra scans. At St. David's Hospital, Special Agent Alex Warren gave his first formal statement. 2 bureau stenographers recorded as he recounted the 1987 ambush, the foil rooms, and 4 years of forced interrogations. He named Orion, Henley, and Collier, matching details already in custody files. Warren's voice shook only when he described children being rotated through the conditioning chair. Internal affairs agents, present to clear any leak concerns, asked if he'd been compromised after release. Warren answered plainly, "I'm ready for full psych and polygraph. I want back on duty." Maya assured him that medical review would take time, but his testimony had already strengthened every indictment. Downstairs, in a secure wing, social services teams processed the newest survivors. Caseworkers arranged temporary visas, trauma counseling, and safe housing. Maya signed off on protective orders for each victim, noting heightened security for high-risk witnesses who would testify against Ames. With the network's finances frozen and leadership jailed, the focus shifted to healing and to tracing any last hidden routes before they could reactivate. Federal teams acted on the Miami and Belize leads within 12 hours. In Miami, Homeland Security agents boarded a freighter listed as carrying building supplies. Inside a sealed hold, they found 8 young women under light sedation and the cargo broker who had forged the papers. He surrendered without resistance. At the same time, Belize police, guided by FBI liaisons, raided Sky Shore charter services at a jungle airstrip near Orange Walk. 2 pilots and a mechanic were loading a stripped-down twin-engine plane when floodlights lit the runway. 1 pilot tried to taxi, but a patrol truck blocked the nosewheel. 12 captives were pulled from freight nets in the hangar, dehydrated but alive. Office records matched Victor Ames's codes and listed future flights to Honduras and Haiti. With these seizures, every known Crossroads transport node was shut. Maya filed an operations update. All active routes neutralized. No pending transfers remain in the system. 3 days later, the Bureau held a news briefing in Washington. Director Summers confirmed 41 survivors rescued, 17 arrests, and $38 million seized. He praised the Austin field office and named Special Agents Maya Delgado and Alex Warren as central to the outcome. Cameras clicked as Warren, in a wheelchair, accepted a Bureau Valor Medal. He spoke one line: "We won't let silence hide crime again." Back in Texas, Maya prepared final indictments while social services teams placed survivors in safe housing and began trauma care. DHS approved humanitarian visas within 72 hours. Warren started physical therapy, managing 10 steps on parallel bars during his first session. That evening, Maya visited with coffee and the updated case sheet. Status: network dismantled, case closed. Warren smiled, exhausted but determined. "When my legs work, I'm joining victim outreach," he said. Maya nodded. The long pursuit was over, but helping the rescued rebuild their lives had only begun. Sentencing hearings began 6 weeks later in the Western District Court of Texas. Victor Ames stood first. Judge Ramirez read 30 counts: kidnapping, torture, trafficking. Ames entered a guilty plea under the agreement, facing life without parole. Survivors spoke in calm, direct voices. Dara described the foil room and the fear of being selected. Savannah held a photo of her younger brother, still missing, and asked the court to keep Ames behind bars until "my brother is found" or "I am old." When the judge imposed 3 consecutive life terms, applause rose from the gallery. Clark Henley received 40 years plus restitution. Grant Collier took 27 after turning over hidden crypto funds. The retired border chief got 30. Outside, Maya briefed reporters. "Justice does not erase trauma, but it stops repeat harm." Today, these survivors saw the system work. She later met with Dara and Savannah at a community center. Both had begun English classes and talked about finishing high school. "College next," Dara said, smiling for the first time. The Bureau closed its task force office in Austin 3 months later. Mission complete. Final stats covered 2 binders, 49 survivors rescued, 21 convictions, $42 million seized. Alex Warren, walking with a cane, addressed a training group of new agents. He listed the lessons: track financial shells, check overlooked properties, trust improbable witnesses. "A homeless man and a scared girl cracked this case," he said. Maya joined victim outreach full-time, helping survivors secure visas, schooling, and trauma care. Dara and Savannah recorded a short message for those still missing: "Keep hope. People are looking." The video played at shelters along the border. On a warm September evening, Maya and Warren visited Oak Grove Storage, now slated for demolition. Crews had removed the foil. The unit stood empty under setting sun. Warren clipped his recovered badge to his belt, then locked the door for the last time. "Case closed," Maya said quietly. They walked away knowing that vigilance, not walls, keeps darkness out. 1 year after the takedown, the Austin courthouse hosted a quiet ceremony for the survivors who chose to attend. Judge Ramirez signed final restitution orders. Each victim would receive a share of the assets seized from Crossroads. A local bank opened no-fee accounts. Caseworkers stood by with translators. Dara, now fluent, thanked the room on behalf of the group. She had finished high school and earned a scholarship for nursing. Savannah presented a poster with photos of 16 relatives still missing. Media crews took copies for border broadcasts. Outside, Maya spoke with Congressman Ortiz about a bill requiring background checks for private storage facilities and small airstrips. One loophole closed can stop a chain of harm, she said. Alex Warren, still on medical leave, greeted survivors and handed them contact cards for the Bureau's witness support line. Late that afternoon, Maya and Warren visited the new community center funded by seized money. Kids played soccer on fresh grass where an abandoned warehouse once stood. The following spring, Maya transferred to Washington as deputy chief of the Bureau's Human Trafficking Response Unit. Her first briefing included updated numbers: reports up 20%, recovery operations up 35%. More calls mean more saves, she told analysts. Alex Warren joined as a field advisor, Kane gone after successful surgery. Together, they taught agents how a single overlooked badge and a witness no one expected could unravel a hidden crime ring. On weekends, they returned to Texas, mentoring survivors who now led peer support meetings. Dara ran the youth group, guiding new arrivals through paperwork and language classes. Savannah started a podcast, Voices Found, sharing stories of rescue and recovery. One episode featured Earl Sanderson, the homeless man whose honesty sparked everything. He now managed maintenance at the community center and had a home of his own. Standing in the recording booth, Maya reflected. The case file might be closed, but the work of guarding the vulnerable would never end. 9 months later, the House Committee on Homeland Security held public hearings on the Storage and Transit Oversight Act. Maya testified first, explaining how unregulated lockers and rural airstrips hid human cargo. She showed photos from Unit 12 and Clearview Ranch, evidence that silence plus cheap rent equaled danger. Congressman Ortiz quoted Dara's statement to illustrate victim impact. The bill proposed federal licensing for private storage owners, mandatory camera retention, and quarterly inspections of non-commercial airfields. Lobbyists for the self-storage industry objected, but footage of foil rooms played across every network. Late that night, the committee voted 27-3 to advance the act. Reporters clustered around survivors on the Capitol steps. Savannah spoke plainly. Regulation is cheaper than rescue. The clip trended for 2 days, gathering bipartisan support. Back in Austin, Earl Sanderson watched on a break at the community center, wiping tears. He never expected his call to police would change federal law, but the vote proved small actions could push big levers. The next week, Maya ran a tabletop exercise for new agents at Quantico. Alex Warren oversaw scenario design, a fake shell charity, a rural warehouse, and missing teens flagged by social media posts. Recruits mapped routes, traced payments, and issued mock warrants. During debrief, a tech analyst interrupted with real-time intel. A trucking manifest in New Mexico listed a Mesa Sun Charities pallet, same name Crossroads once used, scheduled for border export that night. Though the original network was crippled, copycats often reuse dormant shells. Maya ordered a fast check. Local deputies confirmed the pallet contained locked dog crates, no animals inside. Ventilation holes drilled. Bureau HQ launched an emergency response. Warren addressed the class. Training just turned live. Grab vests. Field time. Recruits hustled to gear up, adrenaline replacing classroom nerves. Maya briefed them on the flight line. Objective: intercept the truck, secure any captives, gather evidence on whoever revived the alias. The fight to protect the vulnerable was not a single case. It was a standing mission. Border Highway 54, southern New Mexico, 2210. State troopers staged a rolling roadblock as the marked semi neared mile marker 212. Maya and the trainee squad followed in unmarked SUVs, radios on the same channel. When the cruiser ahead flashed its bar, the truck braked hard, tires screeching. A trooper approached, hand on holster. The driver, William Holt, 38 New Mexico plates, fumbled for papers while sweating. Maya's team opened the trailer. 12 modified dog crates lined the floor, each holding a person. 4 teens, 3 young women, 5 undocumented men. Their wrists were zip-tied. Water bottles lay half-empty beside them. Recruits cut restraints, guided the captives to waiting EMS. One teen, trembling, said the group had been moved 3 times in 2 weeks. Drivers swapped rigs at deserted rest areas, paying each other cash. Inside the cab, Maya found receipts from Desert Star Self-Storage in El Paso, same chain Crossroads once used. Holt muttered that a man named Ray paid him per mile and promised more work if no questions were asked. At dawn, a joint task team raided Desert Star. The office looked legit, but Unit 45 hid a back room identical to Crossroads' foil chambers. Metal chair, restraints, bleach scent. Property records showed new ownership. Ronaldo Suarez, a small-time smuggler who recently leased 4 similar facilities along I-10. Phone dumps from Holt's contact list matched Suarez's prepaid numbers. Interrogated, Suarez admitted he bought the old Mesa Sun ledger on the dark web, hoping to copy the business model. He had no full network, just a plan to flip victims to buyers in Juarez. Evidence sealed his fate. Trafficking charges, 15 counts. Maya briefed HQ. Mesa Sun alias retired again, captives safe, copycat neutralized. Training class ended with real arrests and real rescues. An unexpected crash course. Warren addressed the recruits. You stopped a second network before it grew roots. That's the future of this work. Constant pressure. Maya logged the case as Mesa Sun Copycat closed. Then she turned back to planning the next field seminar. Vigilance could never take a day off. 2 months later, the Storage Transit Oversight Act cleared the Senate 79-18 and was signed into law. Private storage sites now required federal licenses, yearly inspections, and 90-day video retention. Small airstrips handling cargo faced similar checks. Maya flew to Denver to train the first wave of regional inspectors, former customs officers, fire marshals, and local deputies. Using photos from Unit 12 and Desert Star, she showed red flag signs: cash-only leases, fresh foil, unregistered wiring. Inspectors practiced writing immediate closure orders and logging chain-of-custody evidence packets. At session break, a county deputy pulled Maya aside. His district had 2 self-storage yards with repeat break-ins and odd chemical smells. Maya shared her card, advising a quiet site visit before conditions change. Back in Washington, Warren briefed the bureau director on system upgrades, a centralized tip portal linking homeless outreach teams to missing person databases. Pilot funding was approved. Rollout across 5 states set for January. Early winter brought Maya to an Interpol summit in Lyon. Representatives from 42 nations compared trafficking methods: refrigerated trucks in Eastern Europe, shipping containers in Asia, ride-share abuse in Western cities. Maya presented the Crossroads case as proof that mid-level logistics, storage yards, airstrips, ledger apps, were the weak points. She urged joint audits and fast asset freezes. After her talk, a Spanish Civil Guard officer described a foil-lined unit near Cadiz. Patterns matched Crossroads plans. Interpol issued a purple notice within hours. Meanwhile, Warren videotaped a survivor-focused module for global police academies. Treat victims first as people, second as witnesses. Dara subtitled the footage in Khmer and Spanish. Savannah uploaded it to Voices Found, adding hotline links. In Austin, the community center's wall map gained new pins, countries adopting the Act's principles. Maya looked at the spreading markers and updated her field log. Mission shift, from single-case response to global prevention. January brought the first test of the new centralized tip portal. A shelter volunteer in Phoenix entered notes from an unhoused teen who had seen kids in crates moved at night behind a self-storage yard. The portal linked the report to 2 recent missing child alerts and flagged the yard for inspection. Local officers arrived before dawn and found 8 minors inside a rented box truck, sedated but stable. The driver confessed that he planned to cross at a remote desert route mapped on his phone. The storage unit lease, paid in cash, traced to a shell company registered in Nevada. Financial analysts froze the account within hours, stopping a larger payment meant for additional pickups. Maya reviewed the case from Washington and flagged it as proof the portal worked. Within 2 weeks, engineering scaled the platform to all 50 states. Warren's training videos became mandatory for new agents logging into the system. They played on first launch, reminding users that fast data only matters when followed by humane response. In March, Maya convened a cross-border tabletop with Mexican federal police in Ciudad Juarez. Teams walked through a scenario: a storage yard on the U.S. side, foil room evidence, a van crossing on a fake charity manifest. Agents mapped parallel moves, Mexican units closing safe houses while U.S. officers intercepted the transport. The drill revealed a gap. Real-time language translation slowed radio traffic. Within days, the Bureau funded bilingual dispatch upgrades along the border. At the session's end, a Mexican inspector shared intel on a rural clinic south of Chihuahua, rumored to prep captives for overseas sale. The lead matched a dormant Crossroads phone number in Ames's records. Joint units raided the clinic that night, rescuing 5 women and arresting 2 doctors. Maya updated the mission board. Border response time reduced from 48 HRRs to 6 hours. Back home, she briefed Congress on early successes of the Oversight Act: 57 storage shutdowns, 129 rescues, and 0 confirmed trafficking flights from small U.S. airstrips since enactment. By early summer, the Storage Transit Oversight Act Task Force released its first annual report. 312 storage facilities shut, 487 victims rescued, 64 criminal networks disrupted. Yet Maya cautioned the press corps: numbers matter, but vigilance, not statistics, saves lives. She announced a scholarship fund using forfeited Crossroads assets to train survivors in law, nursing, and social work. Dara became its first enrollee at UT Austin's nursing program. Savannah interned with a news outlet, creating a series on spotting trafficking signs at bus stations. Alex Warren, cleared for limited duty, ran quarterly field drills, reminding rookies that he was standing proof of why every tip deserved attention. On a quiet Friday, he escorted Earl Sanderson to the Bureau's Community Outreach Award ceremony. Earl, once homeless, now homeowner, accepted the plaque with simple words: "All I did was speak up." The room applauded. Maya updated her log. Goal: a world where speaking up is ordinary, not heroic. The mission pressed on. December brought the year's final challenge. A Central American NGO alerted the Bureau to children missing along a migrant trail through southern Mexico. Phone metadata pointed to charter buses registered to a Houston tour company. Maya, coordinating with Mexican federal police, traced the buses to a fenced lot in Brownsville, Texas. Inside the maintenance garage, agents found false floor panels under each bus, sized for child-sized compartments. Microfiber blankets and empty juice boxes proved recent use. Ownership records listed an offshore trust, but financial forensics linked deposits to a small tech startup in Austin, run by an ex-Crossroads coder who had avoided arrest. Search warrants hit his office and apartment. Laptops revealed a new routing app that paired smugglers with corrupt bus operators. The coder was detained on federal conspiracy charges. Buses seized. 7 teens recovered from a safe house the same night. Maya noted in her log: trafficking shifts but leaves digital fingerprints. Continual tech forensics capacity is essential. The fight pressed forward into another year. 3 years after the first foil room raid, Congress held a joint session to review national progress. Maya, now Assistant Director of the Bureau's Trafficking Response Unit, presented clear numbers: a 78% drop in storage-linked abductions, 0 confirmed trafficking flights from rural airstrips, and more than 600 survivors enrolled in long-term care. Alex Warren, cane-free and working cases again, testified on field tactics future agents must learn: rapid site audits, cash lease flags, and instant asset freezes. Dara, wearing her nursing student badge, spoke for survivors. Early help saves futures. I'm living proof. Savannah outlined media's role, citing her podcast's 2 million downloads and 70 hotline tips that led to rescues. Earl Sanderson stood quietly beside them, a reminder that vigilance can start with one voice. Lawmakers voted to renew funding and expand the Oversight Act worldwide through embassy outreach. As cameras clicked, Maya noted the moment but kept her briefing tablet open. New tips were already hitting the portal, and each demanded action.